everyone. Today we will review this research and writing third weeks. So I want to briefly review last week formulating research questions. So I continue the second week. The title is formulating research questions and conducting the literature review. So I want to review with you with the learning objectives, and then I want to got your guys' outcomes at the end of this chapter. First thing is, what is the research, and what is the purpose of research? So I want to you guys get an understanding about the purpose of research, and also to understand the objectives and the product of research. So what kind of objectives of research can so many research areas in the world. So also, how can I choose that? And also compare the different approaches to research. For example, today class we will review that, quantitative or qualitative research or something like that. So these things is last week we reviewed the research questions. So just briefly I review that again. What is the research question? Question is, where is it? Let me show you the pictures. Oops, reverse. What is the research questions? The research question is very clear and focused, concise, complex, and arguable question around which you center your research. So you should ask a question about issues you are genuinely curious about. There are many kinds of curious things around you in the world. So first start the research question is curious things. And I want to know that. Very curious things about the fact or any phenomena, something. So these things is, we say, the research question. And that's why the result is the answers. So answers should not be in your notes or in anyone's sources. Also, the research question is reflect upon what you learned this year. Also requires critical thinking to answers. There are many methods to approach that, and basically require the critical thinking. Also, you must evaluate the facts and draw new conclusion. So you cannot say to fake. Only you must have to evaluate the fact and also your own conclusion, not conclusion. Just your own conclusion is very key word about this research question, because it's, if you have some result, your own conclusion, and other researchers have a different idea. We have lots of things, even though we have same phenomena. So every person have a different idea, even if they are very same things. So every research questions have, if you want to draw that, your own conclusion on it. Also, the answer to your research questions should be your opinion. Most things, first time you copy for literature survey, and then a little bit change format or method, for example, for social statistics, something like that. For example, to ask the boy, ask the girl, or ask the 20s and 30s, and some different races, something like that. So, copy for research question for up the answers. So should be your opinion by literature survey. Literature survey means based on some recognized theory. This is research question. So totally we say the central idea of when you wish to focus on your research, the issues you wish to prove, limited, answerable, and closed. This is research question. So today, also last week, we have research process, something like the 8 levels, identify the problem and reviewing the literature, because we can make the research questions depends on the literature survey. It's not your own idea, just depends on the literature. And third step is setting research questions, objectives, and hypotheses. And next stage is choosing the study design. How can I research questions design? And next, the deciding on the sample design. So mostly we recommend the sample studies. Last week I told you to this year very big issues in the United States for president's fall on November 5th. So every day they announced who support them. Support whom or something, Harris or Trump or something. And this time, if you make some research question, so who support you? Do you support whom? Something like questionnaire, and then you have to make the sample design around studies, and then there are some bias. There are no bias, and then you issues to modeling among the population. So in this United States presidential polls, about 1,000. Around 1,000 is sampling numbers. Who decides the 1,000 samples? This is by calculate the equation. This is for some literature survey, so many accumulated researches, and then they make it the sample size. So mostly in the United States, presidential for sampling about 1,000, and then this errors boundary plus minus 3%. But if some sampling 3,000 over, around 3,000 to 3,050, 3,100 sampling, I think this plus minus 2.5%. This error is a little bit diminished. Anyway, the sampling is very different and important area. And next step is correcting the data. That means it's asking by phone or by straight and by email, any email. So correcting data. Also, next step is processing and analysis data is something using the computer system, and also very powerful statistical tools. For example, SAS or SPSS. As most people know it, the Excel. Excel is more powerful, a little bit powerful analysis tool, very popular, but it's not exact. And then you can make it a table or output, and then you are writing the research report. This is the research processing. So today we will review the type of the research questions. So briefly, I introduced the quantitative and the qualitative questions. Today we will review that. And then what is the research question types? Descriptive, and what kind of relationship, and then what is the reason? Course. This is research question types. For example, I have some question about the president next year. So that is the question, and then make the type. Man and woman, and high education level or low education level, and the blue color or the area, what's it? But sun belt, and the blue belt, or something, south area, north area. They are descriptive. And what kind of relationship? Sun belt and the blue belt or something. What is the relationship? It is descriptive for relationship for man and woman, between man and woman, between the white people, American African. Also the immigrant or not immigrants. There are many relationships there. And what is the reason? What is the causal? This is for basic research question types. Descriptive, relational, comparative, or something. 7 types of research questions. This is for another author's idea. Mostly we 2 to 3 types. Qualitative or quantitative, and or mixed them mostly. So different type of researches. There are some 8 types in here. For graphic shows that report research, qualitative research, quantitative research, analytical research, persuasive research, experimental research, survey research, the problem-solving research. As the title definition is descriptive, the qualitative report. For the purpose is survey or persuade to whom, the analysis, something like that. This is type of the questionnaire researching. So developing a research question is follow that. The who, to what, why, when, where. So you remember that in your high school, we know there's a 5W1H. Something follow this methodology. So it says who, where, what, where, the why. Why, there, when. Okay, when. The 1H is how. So research question is follow this one. For example, who is means a specific group. I think it's a boy group, girls group, gender, sex, age, ethnicity. These things is who, and what extent means is what is the issues? What are the issues? What kind of issues? Something like that. Why? Why you are support for Harris? Why you are support for Trump? Something like that. So this is why. When? Sometimes we are asking for morning and afternoon, and at the midnight is different. Also, they are very closely the election date is very difficult, more detailed. So when is also very important reason is question, research question. here is also same thing. So this is agriculture area and the rural area is different. So also the education level is important. That's why for blue color, white color is exactly different for support area, something like that. Anyway, this is 5H, 5W and 1H, and I have one more idea for your common sense. 5W1H 1T. What's the meaning? 1T is target. How? First target is 1W1H 1T target. And next 5W3H. 5W3H means is how long, how much. These three things added, that is 5W3H. Also the other one is the 6W3H. 6W3H plus whom? To whom? So basically every research question followed with 5W1H. It means is you are very logically approach that or persuade the other people, or you are report to the your idea. In this case, you have to follow the 5W1H. It's basic logical methodology. But it's the, some specified area need to target. 1W1H, 1T is target. I make it some question or research to target. To which target? And 5W3H is how long, how much. Is it for another specific area is how long, how much. This is specified research area. 6W3H is whom, to whom, the opposite. So you have some basic question at this time. Which is that? I say the which. Is missing the 5WH. At this time, you are thinking about the which. Who, where, what, why, when, but which. Also same W prime. So these things is logically approach method. This is some point of your common sense. Anyway, let's come back in here. So today we will study what criteria should a good research question meet. So how can we make the criteria for good questions? Sometimes this question is very big bias. Even if we are choosing the very rational sampling, but the question style is different and the data is very big bias in there. It means is we did not follow the research survey method. In this case, lots of bias. Automatically, this research report is very long and long information. So criteria for doing good research. So good research questions should be feasible, interesting, novel, ethnical, and relevant. This is basic requirement. It means you should be realistically investigative, engaging, provide new insight, be ethnical sound, and pertinent to field of study. So these things is mixing them, these factors. So briefly express the graph, something like that. First criteria is define the purpose. What kind of purpose? What is your plan? What is your objectives? And next is the research method. How, which method is very educate approach there? And next, highlight the limitation and assumption. These things is include the hypothesis area and research design. Okay, I decide the hypothesis and how we make the design. So I decide the 1,000 samples and then 200 samples in the rural, and after and 200 samples is to urban area as morning time or something like that. Who decided? Depends on our formal research. And sufficient data, it means is I correct the data, but sometimes I cannot correct perfect. So in this case, how many peoples or how many questions return, the rate is very important to importance area. So sufficient data. And the confined conclusion. It means is people are writing for report and make some conclusion, my own conclusion. And the last is integrity and commitment. It means it includes the future study. I did these things and then I got final answers, my own answers. So I have some limited some situations. So I highly recommend the next research area or something like that. This is commitment. So the follow up these criteria, and then you can doing the good research care. This is for good research care. And another definition is this for example that is it worthwhile to answer? So, okay. So if you want to know the who will be elected by president in this November, and then this is very main question. But you are asking for is it worthwhile to answer means I don't have any reason for presidential election. At this time, you cannot ask anymore because the guys have no worthwhile to answer for presidential election. Does it add to the discussion in this field? This is the meaningful data or not? Another example is the topic is focused. So I would like to get some data about the presidential election, but its focus is different. It's not delays that. It's not good question. Also, can it be answered in only 4,000 words? 4,000 words is too much. That is another example. You see the topic broad enough to discuss in up to 4,000 words. Simple words is better. Good question. So can the topic be objectively treated, not just conjecture or in pseudo area? Does the question fit squarely in the area of study? So very narrow area is studying focus there. But sometimes the question is very separate and another area. That's the topic about the hypothetical discussion. So as I said, this good question is first literature survey, and then you can make the hypothesis. Hypothesis means is I think this is A is to B. This is hypothesis, and then I correct the data and the analysis, and then finally A is not B. This is hypothesis. That's why first time I defined A equal B, but the question, the analysis output is A is not B. This is hypothesis resolved processing. Okay, so this is for a criteria of a good research area has some very pointable factors. Clearly defined, not vague. Very clearly define the question, and exactly ethical. Unbiased. Biased is very fake or some confusing data. It's unbiased. Mistake. Very similar word is mistake. Unbiased. Unbiased means it's not intended. So bias means is some difficult definition. So briefly I say that it's a mistake, but unconsciously mistake. This is unbiased. And rigorous, very rigorous is okay. And significant, exact. And also systematic, exactly. Also the very logical thing, empirical. So empirical means is they have lots of formal research. Also logical means is this time. These things is very good for questionnaire factors. And next step is research proposal framework. So framework last PICO. PICO system is I don't want to introduce the PICO system, but it's some statistics is very good method is PICO, P-I-C-O-T. This is for later we will review the quantitative researching, and PEO is qualitative research. So PEO, PICO is different methodology. So later in this chapter I will introduce that PICO and PEO. PICO and PEO. This is for quantitative. This is qualitative. This is quantitative. So this is for framework. These two frameworks is very structured, clearly, and address the essential elements such as so population, innovation, and outcome. Also improving the study focus and clarity. This framework is very clearly helpful your question and researching. So basic framework is something like the pyramid style. Basically start the research question, framework, overview, and the introduction and the background. These things include the literature survey area. And choose the research methodology. Okay, questionnaire and directly asking, or literature survey, or some data, collect the data. For example, today the interesting exchanging rate. Exchanging rate is China, between the China and Japan and Korea and Europe, something like that. So research methodology. And then next frameworks is studying finding. It means is collect the data and analysis. And what is the result? Result is discussing the finding. Finding means outcome. and compare the United States and China, and Japanese, and Korean, and some East area or something countries. So discuss or find. This frame area is write the conclusion. And then implications. Okay, next research area is something. So implication means is okay. Now I compare the United States and China. Next study is suggest South America and North America, something like that. This is implication. And bad versus good research questions. What is the bad and good questions? It means is we want to escape the bias. That's why there's a good question or a bad question. So bad question might be vague or too simple. Sometimes it's too simple. Do you like it or not? It's too simple. This is not a good question because it's at this time I show you some very specified products or very unique products, and then ask to customers, you like it or not? It's very simple. Also, this is very bad question. So I want to know the new product, the marketable product or not. At this time, you can make it the good question. For example, color, design, did you know that? Did you saw this one or something? Separate and a little bit define some questions, and then finally, this new product is acceptable in the market or not. Not exactly ask to directly, you like it or not. Very bad question. So that's why vague or too simple is not good. For example, this chapter is, for example, how does social media affect people's behavior? It is too much vague area, vague question. But is the different good question is exemplary, very specific and focused. So bad question is very vague and too simple. But the other hand, the good question is very specific and focused. So how can I ask to that? What effects does the daily use of YouTube has to have on the attention span, or children argue under 16 or something like that? Very specified for YouTube watching under 16 age or something like that. But the bad question is, how does social media affect people's behavior? Oh, a lot, that's it. But this is not a good idea. So there are for some example of good and bad questions. For example, how does social media affect people's behavior? I said. But the good question is, what effects does the daily use of YouTube under 16? Something like that. Or another example, has there been an increase in childhood obesity in the United States in the past 10 years? Very complex. So in this question is change that. How have school intervention programs and the parental education levels affected the rate of childhood obesity among first to sixth grade students? Very defined, focused. This thing is, for example, for good and bad questions. Another example in the screen. Research questions should be stated as clearly as possible. Bad research question is Bad research question, for example, this: is advertising copy X better than advertising copy Y? It's very bad. But the good question, for example, does which advertised copy has a higher day after recall score? This is two example for good and bad question. Another example is show that in the table, bad research question is not empirically testable, non-scientific questions. For example, Lordland. So should abortion be illegal? Or is it right to have a capital punishment? Exactly punishment. So this is not questioning. The general topic or not research question. So for example, sexuality and aging, treatment of alcohol and drug abuse. This is very best question. A set of variables, not questions. Okay, set of variables. Variable is very important things. Sometimes we say these factors, the variable. How can we express the value? So personally, I like the value very much. So why are you study there? Why are you coming in here? And why you attended the college level? And why are you guys coming to the United States? Everything. There are many kinds of reasons and objectives there. So finally, we cannot find one word or one sentence. But I can say this, I would like to say the value. I want to make my value, my future's value. And I want to accumulate my own value. Okay. So I like very much the value. But value is a little bit delayed, the variables. Variables is a change. Variable means it's changed. So every phenomenon we can express AX1 plus BX2 plus CX3 plus blah 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 plus epsilon t, or NXN plus epsilon t, or something like that. So Y means is fx. Same. So Y is to, or fx is dependence. x1, x2, x3, xn is independent value. This is factors. I want to become a professor. I want to success my life in the United States. This is objective function. So fx means I want to get something. I want to get a professor. I want to be a doctors, medical doctors, or things like that. This objective function. These objective functions consist of the lots of factors in here. This is variables. If you want to medical doctor, this is objective function. And how can you become a medical doctor? There are lots of methods. There are tremendous medical doctors in the world, and you can ask it medical doctors, and most people is same very similar method. But you know, every medical doctor have different factors and variables. It means it's become a medical doctor is a very different idea or method. It means, okay, mostly we can define the x1, for example, the GPA. It means you have to hard work in the college level because you can become a medical doctor. So medical doctor is more hard work, hard study, better than to other area, other major, or some long study. So most people only take 5 years, or 4 years. But the medical doctor is at least 6 years. Long study. Or X-ray is no need money. But exactly we say this need money. And some talent. Or some, how can I say, enthusiasm. Or some many factors to become a medical doctor. So, most parents wants to become your children become a good job and good education in the United States. So in this case, the parents chose to the factors, and then the children follow the each values. So good and bad question, research question is how do we define the X1, X2, X3, and X? X1 is to something I said is a bias. So variables is very important part of the enrich the values. So each variables factors affected to dependence outcome medical doctor fx y the same thing. Okay, we can explain this equation is every phenomena in the world. So variables is very important area. That's why how can we choose the variables for approach the outcomes. So as I said, the ambiguous, very vague is bad questions. Also need to be still more specific. More specific is bad question, but specific is good question. But more best specific is not good. And how about the good question example is exploratory question. It means is last 10 years we have something data history, and then what is the next futures history, next futures record or something. Descriptive question and exploratory question is related to the next chapter, quantitative and qualitative question. These things is good research question. Basically, simply good versus bad research question is that how does vitamin C impact immune response to Tylenol? A little bit specific. But the bad questions example is how does vitamin C cure colds? A little bit increase there. Accept. How does Roundup slow the growth of evergreen trees? But the bad question is how can we make plants grow faster? Something like that. How does the MMR shoots slow meals outbreak in LA? I don't know MMR shot outbreak. Measles. I don't know. How impact the childrenhood vaccine? I think this now is so hot issues. Is MMR shot is something in the, I don't know the exactly, but in the United States below 6 years old, some specified shot. But in the United States is not focused shot. But in the Asian area, especially Korea, China, and Japanese, below 6 years old, every year you should be take the shot, specify the shot. But the United States is not recommended. This is, I think, this is MMR shooting. Anyway, this is for example, bad and good questions. Okay, there's let's move to last of the research question example for the pass. So I think it's better for quantitative and qualitative question. What is the different? Where is it? Oh, here you go. So quantitative research question and qualitative research question is exactly different thing. So quantitative research question is very precise. These questions typically include the population to be studied, dependent and independent variables. So dependent follow the independent path. This is quantitative research methodologies. So very focused values. So quantitative questions are usually framed and finalized the start of the study. So quantitative is very concise and precise. Also, quantitative research question established a link between the research question and the research design. So we can make some research design. And first we have some questions. So the quantitative research question is establish the link between the research question and the research design. Moreover, these questions are not answerable with yes or no response. As a result, the quantitative research question does not use words such as is, are, to, does. We cannot use that. This is quantitative. So quantitative questions usually seek to understand the particular social, familial, or educational experiences or processes occurs in the particular context or something location. So quantitative research questions can be further categorized into three types: descriptive, comparative, relationship. So first, descriptive research question aims to measure the response to study population in one or more variables or describe variables. Researcher will measure them. This question typically begin with what. Also, students aim for the what is research question to uncover particular process. We cannot cover all areas, very specified area of focus. This is descriptive research question. Second type of quantitative question is comparative research question. So descriptive research question, comparative research question, and the relationship research question. Well, second, comparative aims discover the differences between two or more groups for an outcome value. For example, in the schools have baseball groups, and football groups, and some studying groups, and then compare. This is for quantitative. So this question can be casual, causable also. For example, the researcher may compare a group where the certain variable is involved and among group where the variable is not present. Okay, explain that. So in the high school have some very specified sports group, baseball, basketball, and the soccer team, and the swimming team. There are some specified the sports groups in the high school, and then wants to which is more effective your teenager groups some character. This is the objectives, and then you can choose the samples each sports groups. Well, each groups of 5. But problem is the sampling. For example, the football team, as I know, the football team around 50 guys. Basketball team around maximum 10 to 12 guys. Swimming team 5 to 6, 7 only. Baseball is more 15 something. So population is different, but the question variables is asking for each samples 5, 5, 5, 5. This questionnaire is exactly have some bias. So in this case, how can we choose the samples? Depends on the ratio of the population size. For example, I choose the 2 or 3 among the swimming team, and 10 samples among the soccer team, or something like that. So a little bit give to the weighted values. 2 swimming people, 5 guys baseball team, 10 guys from football team, something like that. And then this is for unbiased comparative research. This is quantitative researching. And the relationship research questions seek to explore and define trends and the interaction between 2 or more values, more groups. So relationship means is something trend. Now is AI. So as you know, there's 10 to 2 decades ago, most people wants to major in the computer science or computer engineering in the college level. But nowadays it's exactly different, change the trends and fashions, because it's social phenomena is changed. So for example, the interesting major is changed that the AI or data mining or machine learning. Did you heard that news on the Nobel Prize this week? This week is announced the Nobel Prize. So at this time, the Nobel Prize of the physics, who's that? Is AI. Machine learning, 2 researchers, professors got a Nobel Prize in this year. So it means it's change for favorable major of college level. So nowadays, most people don't like the computer science, only like the AI or more data mining, or some machine learning area is more hot fashion area. So research relationship research question is for seek for some trend, also interactions. These things belongs to in the quantitative relationship research question area. So at the other hand, the qualitative research questions. So qualitative research questions may concern broad area of research or more specific area of study. So qualitative is more wide, the broad. So similar to qualitative research questions are linked to research design. So there are many defined there. Who's that? Riches and Marshall Rosman is defines the number of types related. Qualitative research question is a contextual research question, contextual, descriptive, and emancipatory research question, evaluate research question, exploratory research question. There are many. And the exploratory research question, the generative research question, and ideological research question belongs in the qualitative question. So I want to show the comparable box in here to qualitative. Is qualitative researches and investigative methodologies described as ethnography, naturalistic, and anthropological field or participant observer researches. This is qualitative research. And also collect information without formal structured instrument. So qualitative research is something literature survey. So exactly you can distinguish two different things. The qualitative is a research area. No. The literature survey. The quantitative is collect the data, the delay, the statistics, math. This is quantitative. Also analyze the narrative information and then organized but in intuitive fashion. It means trend. This is qualitative research. And the other quantitative research is the systematic investigation of quantitative properties and phenomena and their relationship. Also use structured procedure and formal instruments to correct information. Correct information means correct data, and then using some program, the analysis tool, and then make some conclusion. Okay? Analyze the numerical information through statistical procedure. That's it. I said it's quantitative research is related to statistics and correct the data, number. This is quantitative. But the qualitative means is some literature survey things. For example, the history and the language or some social trend, or something like this, qualitative research area. But the other hand, the quantitative is how much, how long, how much, how descriptive the number of the support or something. This thing is related quantitative researching. Also, the other definition by sorting, focus, analysis, expressed in sample questions, characterized by between two research methods. For example, the expressed in words, number, graphics, table, few words. So it means it only shows the table and only shows the number. This is quantitative. But the word, very narrative system is qualitative. So sample is very respondable. But anyway, qualitative research or quantitative, even if there any methodology, you have to take at least 30 samples. The meaning is, 30 meaning is at least some trend or variables represented the output. That's why at least minimum 30. So, but the quantitative many respondable, it means it's 1,000, 3,000, as I said. Questions open-ended, but the close-ended and multiple choice or something. Also, the analysis method, summarizing, categorizing, interpreting. So we have some history of each country. And then how can we summarize that? And how can we categorize each country? It only depends literature survey. That's why analysis methodology is interpreting and summarize and categorize by word. But the other hand, the quantitative method using the statistical and the math stuff. So collect the data and reading the information. So focus that is very important thing. So qualitative means only exploring that. Or 10 years ago, 100 years ago, and more years ago, the history, something, just relative. So, but the quantitative is testing hypotheses. First time I make that hypothesis A equals P hypothesis. and then I collect the data and analysis, but the conclusion is A equal B is only 80% is A equal P. That's why hypothesis reject or accept or something. This style is quantitative style. So that's why the research question is two kind of it. And last, I want to show the mixed method. This is qualitative and quantitative data is mixed at the mixed method research analysis. So very specified area, the research methodology is mixed method study. This is typically requires a set of both quantitative and qualitative research questions. So separate questions are appropriate when the mixed method study focus on the significant and difference in the quantitative. For example, first thing is literature survey. Mixed thing, for example, before independence in the United States, 1776, and what is the status in the United States? Only using the literature survey. But already they have gone to the sky, so that means it's already gone. So before independence, United States, social status, nowadays we are collect the data for quantitative data using the statistics. But the former status we cannot ask to the people's samples. That's why in this case mixed method. It means it's before independence in the United States, we can use the qualitative based on or focused on the literature survey. But after independence in the United States, we can use the questionnaire or data. It means it's a statistical method and method adapted quantitative. These things is, for example, for mixed method research analysis. Very simple. But okay, this is for all things this class. So I would say today this research and writing class is related at least master level and PhD level, because it's I know this school has also the master level class in here, so I'm not sure this school wants to make a thesis or not. I think they don't want it. So this subject is basically need to introduce the research methodology and why we make the research methodology, and also writing skills. For example, most guys, include me, we are coming immigrant there. So basic word is very weak there. So I know there's some books shows to the dissertation and research and report, lots of report, and especially thesis and dissertation. So this book includes the contents. We cannot use these words, cannot use in the thesis. So some specified word you can use the dissertation or something like that. So this is for very descriptive and important narrow system words then, but it's not used there, even if I am a doctor, but it's very unuseful writing for research paper something. So that's why the most schools have specified subject, research and writing class. Basically, I want to show to the introduce and overview the research and the writing basic skills. I'm not English teacher, so just to introduce the format. Okay. Okay. Thanks for coming, and see you next.